Hey guys, Matty Miller here with Pursuit Property Management. And a question that I get asked a lot is, hey, what does property management cost? And that's kind of a loaded question because it depends on what company you're looking for or what their business setup is. There's a lot of different ways that we do it, and we're going to break those down, and we're going to talk about the average cost in Jacksonville, Florida versus the actual cost of Pursuit Property Management. All right, guys, so real simple. I did what everybody does. I said, hey, what is the average cost of property management in Jacksonville, Florida? You can type that into Google. You're going to get an AI response. So basically what I did is type that directly into Google and said, hey, what is the average cost of property management in Jacksonville, Florida? Because I wanted to share that with you guys. I have a pretty good idea that I know what those costs are and what those costs are involving, but I want to break that down and then show you what Pursuit Property Management charges. So the first most important is the monthly fee. So percentage of monthly rent is the very common way to break things down, and that's kind of where it starts. And a lot of places are in between 8 and 12%. I'd probably say the average is 10%. If it's between 8 and 12, that's obviously an average of 10. So for example, if your property is a $1,500 a month property, you're paying in between $120 and $180. Here at Pursuit Real Estate, we do focus on a higher end rental property than possibly your average property management company. We do manage a little bit of everything, but we do charge a flat fee. Our flat fee currently is $149 per month. That is our flat fee right now. That is just changing here recently. We used to be $139, but obviously with cost of everything going up, in order to sustain some business, we are at $149, which technically on the flat fee side would put us right in the middle of where it's at. I don't know anybody in Jacksonville that does $100 per month flat fee. I would be actually shocked at that. I think most people are, again, 8, and I've actually seen as high as 14% in town. So that is your fees. So if you have a $2,000 house, or in this case, in our case, it's a flat fee. It doesn't matter if your house rents for $2,000, $3,000, or $1,000. We automatically charge $149. So that is where we're at on our monthly cost. Now, the other cost involved in property management, which is the other side of things that people kind of forget about, and that's where things can get a little confusing. And so typically you have 2 to 3 other charges that you can set up, and we only have 2. We have a leasing fee or a tenant placement fee. Either one you want to call it, same thing. Leasing fee, tenant placement thing, same thing. So if you get confused about what's what, it's the same thing. Most of your tenant placement fees, or leasing fees rather, will be in between 50% and 100% of the first month's rent. Or 1 month's rent. Here at Pursuit Real Estate, we are still 50%. We don't do a lot of other, deviations from that unless we actually do show it while you have an owner there, or somebody wants us to show it with a tenant in there because they want us to rent it sooner. That's something that we would charge extra for, but that's a conversation with your property manager, and that would depend on the house, the condition of it, things like that. So we are 50% on a placement fee. That includes photos, professional management of setting up all the showings. That's going to also include getting it onto Zillow, Realtor.com, all your 9 billion sites that advertise rental properties. That's covering all that, and it's including your costs. So it's a one-time fee of 50%. So if it's $2,000 property, we're taking $1,000. Pretty self-explanatory. The next one is a renewal fee, which is typically your most other common one. Renewal fee often ranges between $200 and $500. We are actually percentage based on this. So we're percentage based. We're going to negotiate that new lease for you, get it up to market rents, keep your tenant, whatever. If we have to do some negotiations on repairs, sometimes that happens. So we're charging 25% on that. So on a $2,000 house, we're charging $500 to do that. That does come with a video renewal inspection, which is our biggest cost. So we're actually sending someone out there. Most of the time it's me. So I'm physically going to go to the property. We're going to shoot a video on the property, walk through everything, and make sure it's right. Make sure that we do want to renew that tenant. Okay. That to me, I think for most clients that have done business with us in the past, it's kind of worth its weight in gold to be able to see your property being stationed all the way. I say stationed because I use Navy clients for an example. They're stationed all over the world, and they can see their property and it's well cared for, and they can see the video and know that it's in good shape. So that's a big one. A few other things that we do, those are the only things we charge. So a renewal fee and a tenant placement fee is the only thing we charge. There's a lot of other fees that other people will charge. Some of those being vacancy fees. We don't charge if you have a vacant property. We don't charge you anything during that period. Some companies will. They'll charge, 50 50, $75 a month for every month that it's vacant because they want to encourage you to rent it faster. And that's typically price related, but that's a conversation for later. Maintenance markups, big one. People never ask about it. A lot of your bigger property management companies have in-house maintenance, okay, to where, let's say they're going to go send somebody to repair a toilet flapper, which we all know cost about $17 at the store. They're going to pay their guy $27 an hour to go do that. He's a handyman. They're really only paying that guy, let's say all out $58, but they're going to upcharge you 25% on top of that labor to be able to organize that. We don't do a vendor markup, okay? We use all third-party vendors. Their cost is their cost. We don't add anything to that. And that's a big one that I think people overestimate when they're choosing a property management company. And again, some of it can be relative. We use third-party vendors. They're going to have their costs built into it, where somebody in-house might be doing that plus adding up to it. So it just kind of depends on what you're paying. A lot of people actually charge an onboarding or setup fee. So if you're a new property owner, they're going to charge you a setup fee, especially if you have multiple properties bringing over. And that's the case. And again, it's typically, a couple $100 per property or whatever that situation is there, because there's probably a lot of work going into that, getting them set up. Some people do charge inspection fees on top of that. We do offer additional inspections. That's $75 per inspection, but we don't actually do that because we do include our renewal inspection every single time. So every time we do a renewal, we actually get somebody on property. The other things that you kind of have to keep in mind is a reserve fund requirement. Some people do or do not have reserve funds. It's not a fee, but it's some money held basically in your account. That way, if we ever have to pay a vendor, we keep $400 basically on tap at all times in case we ever have to use it for anything. Most likely paying a vendor, but at the same time, it's one of those things that we do keep on file, and that is a pretty common practice for most property management companies. Early contract termination fees. It's one thing that I really like about our contract. I'm kind of a look me in the eye and tell me, hey, are you going to help me or not? And essentially it's a handshake deal. We have contracts because we have to, but if you ever want to get out of our contract, we don't hold you to anything. Okay. It is 30-day notice. Let us know if you want out, but no questions asked, but we can also do the same to you. So it is basically a month-to-month contract that renews every single month, essentially. That's what it is. It's easy to get out of. I don't believe in working with people if you're going to have a tough relationship. If you don't like me or trust me, then I don't necessarily want to hold you to that. I don't want to work for somebody that doesn't like me either. So we do have an easy contract to get out of. Anyway, I know that's a lot, but that's your typical costs when it comes to single family property management in the Jacksonville, Florida area. And if you guys have any questions about that, or somebody who could benefit from this video, send that to them. Let me know, tag me in it, whatever you got to do. More than happy to help people out here in the property management world, make sure that their money is getting well spent and make sure their properties are getting taken care of. So I'm Matty Miller with Pursuit Property Management. Hope you guys have a great day.